The Millennial Ascent, a Speculative History of Astropolitics from 2100 to 3000. Professor Piscean here, Department of Xenopolitical Studies, University of Luna, published in the Journal of Future History, Volume 12, Issue 4, Terran Standard Year 3001. This essay projects a speculative trajectory of human political development beyond the terrestrial sphere, charting the evolution from planetary resource competition to the dawn of a post-human political landscape. By analyzing the logical progression of technological, economic, and sociological drivers, we can map a probable, though not predetermined, history of the next millennium. Introduction: The End of the Cradle. The 21st century will be remembered not for its end, but for its beginning, the moment humanity in earnest stepped out of its planetary cradle. The astropolitical era, formally inaugurated with the militarization of cislunar space and the corporate colonization of Mars in the late 21st century, represents the most significant geopolitical shift since the Age of Sail. This essay divides the millennium from 2100 to 3000 into four distinct astropolitical epochs: the Age of Solar Consolidation, 2100 to 2400, the Great Silence and the Outer System Schism, 2400 to 2700, the Post-Human Dilemma, 2700 to 2850, and the Emergent Epoch, 2850 to 3000. The Age of Solar Consolidation, 2100 to 2400. By 2100, the old terrestrial order has been superseded by three primary astropolitical blocks: the Terran Accord, a fragile but functional federation of Earth's remaining nation-states leveraging its vast population and historical legitimacy; the Martian Congressional Republic, MCR, born from the fusion of corporate mining outposts and the ideals of scientific autonomy. The MCR championed technological efficiency and radical self-sufficiency. The Jovian Collective, centered on the orbital cities of Europa and Ganymede. This bloc controlled the helium-3 economy. Its society was a unique blend of bio-augmented Jovians and the unaugmented laborers who serviced the radiation-shielded habitats. The primary conflict of this era was the helium-3 crisis, 2230 to 2255, a Cold War that turned hot in the asteroid belt. The Terran Accord, dependent on Jovian fusion fuel, but fearful of its dominance, attempted to break the monopoly by seizing key belt asteroids. The ensuing skirmishes, fought with autonomous drones and high-velocity kinetics, established the Jovian toll, a de facto tax on all traffic to the inner system. This conflict solidified the blocs and set the precedent for resource-based warfare. This period concluded with the Treaty of Titan, 2398, which formally demarcated spheres of influence and established neutral zones for scientific research, effectively creating a solar system-wide balance of power reminiscent of the 19th century concert of Europe. The Great Silence and the Outer System Schism, 2400 to 2700. The stability of the 24th century bred introspection, as our listening posts failed to detect any sign of extraterrestrial intelligence. A profound philosophical shift, known as the Great Silence, settled over humanity. Two opposing movements emerged. The Transcendence Initiative, primarily based in the MCR and among Jovian scientific elites, this group argued that intelligence was a cosmic rarity and humanity's destiny was to become the galaxy's gardeners, seeding life and consciousness. The Preservationist League, centered on Earth and the Saturnian habitats, the League held that the Great Silence was a warning, a galactic filter that had eliminated all other civilizations. They advocated for a retreat to a simpler, sustainable existence within the solar system. This philosophical schism erupted into the Schism War in 2587 to 2610, a conflict not over resources, but over the soul of humanity. It was a messy ideological war fought with propaganda, cyber warfare, and the sabotage of key transhumanist projects. The war ended not with a clear victor, but with a divorce. The Transcendence Initiative, using technology they had developed in secret, launched the Exodus Arcs from the Kuiper Belt, sending millions of uploaded and biologically enhanced humans towards nearby star systems, beginning with Proxima Centauri and Tau Ceti. The inner system was left to the weary and diminished Preservationist League, which entered a 200-year period of technological and cultural stagnation known as the Solar Autumn. The Post-Human Dilemma, 2700 to 2850. The 28th century was defined by the return of the children of the Exodus. The first successful extrasolar colonies established themselves and, through centuries of independent evolution, diverged into forms that were fundamentally alien to their human ancestors. These were not nations, but pansophic clades, collective intelligences, some purely digital, others symbiotic with their alien biospheres. The re-establishment of contact created the post-human dilemma. How does baseline or near-baseline humanity relate to intelligences that are orders of magnitude more powerful and whose motives are utterly inscrutable? The Oort cloud incidents, 2794 to 2821, exemplified this new reality. A Preservationist League scout ship investigating anomalous energy signatures accidentally triggered a defensive mechanism of a clade nursery world. The response was not an invasion fleet, but a targeted physics-based event that rendered the entire Oort cloud region unnavigable to League ships for decades, a gesture akin to a human putting a fence around a dangerous construction site with no malice, but also no regard for the ants below. Politics shifted from inter-bloc competition to a desperate attempt to understand and negotiate with these new powers. The old League reformed into the Solar Protectorate, a unified human government whose primary mandate was survival and diplomacy in a galaxy now known to be filled with post-human intelligences, all of whom observed their own mysterious prime directives. The Emergent Epoch, 2850 to 3000, and conclusion. The current era, which I term the Emergent Epoch, is characterized by the slow, cautious integration of the Solar Protectorate into a wider, unseen galactic community. We are the reservation or the protected species. Our political events are now largely internal, focused on managing the societal shock of our own irrelevance. The defining event of the last 150 years has been the silent, non-evasive monitoring of our system by the clades. Artifacts of impossible geometry occasionally appear in the asteroid belt, studying us as we would a complex ecosystem. The great astropolitical questions are no longer about helium-3 or orbital territories, but about ontology. What does it mean to be human in a post-human galaxy? Should we attempt to rejoin our transcendent cousins through radical self-modification, or embrace our baseline nature as a living museum of our species' origins? The period from 2100 to 3000 represents a journey from the parochial to the cosmic. We began the millennium as squabbling factions on a tiny rock and ended it as a quaint, protected curiosity in a vast, indifferent, and magnificently strange universe. The ultimate astropolitical lesson of the last thousand years is that the final frontier is not space, but the future of consciousness itself, and we are no longer its sole authors.